In the early years of World War II, American fighter aircraft were powerful, heavily armed, and built with remarkable engineering ambition, yet many of them were missing a single crucial technology that would ultimately transform their performance in ways few could have imagined. That technology was the Hamilton Standard Hydromatic Constant Speed Propeller, a deceptively simple-looking device made of metal blades, a hub, and an ingenious hydraulic system. But hidden inside its seemingly ordinary structure was a breakthrough that would change the very character of American air power. The adoption of this propeller did not just improve a few aircraft. It reshaped the tactical and strategic possibilities of the United States Army Air Forces. It made existing fighters exponentially more capable, and in the process, it helped redefine air superiority in the European theater. To understand how transformative this was, we need to start with the limitations American fighters faced before the hydromatic system arrived. Engines of the late 1930s and early 1940s were growing more powerful each year, with superchargers, higher octane fuels, and refined metallurgy enabling horsepower levels never before seen in military aviation. But horsepower alone didn't translate to performance. Without an efficient way to convert that power into thrust, a fighter could only achieve a fraction of its true potential. Early propellers were either fixed pitch or manually adjustable. A fixed pitch propeller performed well at one airspeed and altitude, but poorly at all others. A pilot flying into combat had to accept compromise. If the propeller was optimized for takeoff, it would underperform during a climb. If optimized for high speed, it would struggle at low speeds or during sudden maneuvers. This meant that early American fighters overheated easier, climbed slower, and lost ground in dogfights. The limitations didn't stop there. Pilots in high-stress conditions often had to manually adjust propeller pitch using cockpit levers, constantly trying to balance engine revs with airspeed. Too much throttle with the wrong pitch setting could blow the engine. Too little pitch could leave the aircraft sluggish and unresponsive. In combat, these seconds of attention spent on mechanical management could be fatal. Pilots needed a propeller that could think for itself, one that would automatically adjust to keep the engine at its ideal RPM, regardless of speed, altitude, or maneuver. That solution arrived with the Hydromatic Constant Speed Propeller. Hamilton Standard had been experimenting with hydraulically actuated propeller hubs since the mid-1930s, but the rapid onset of global war accelerated everything. The hydromatic system allowed the propeller blades to continuously vary their pitch using hydraulic pressure, automatically maintaining the most efficient RPM. For the pilot, it meant one simple thing: the engine would always be operating at peak performance, from takeoff all the way to combat maneuvering and high-speed dives. The propeller would adjust itself far faster and more precisely than any human could. But the U.S. military did not immediately grasp how transformative this would be. Many early fighters and even some early P-47 and P-51 prototypes flew with older Curtiss electric or fixed-pitch systems that limited what their engines could deliver. The breakthrough moment came when American engineers began pairing the new generation of high-horsepower engines, like the Pratt & Whitney R2800 and the Packard-built Rolls-Royce Merlin, with the Hamilton Standard Hydromatic system. And when they did, everything changed. Let's start with the P-47 Thunderbolt, a massive brute of a fighter powered by the 2,000 horsepower R2800. Early Thunderbolts were notoriously sluggish on climb. Pilots complained they felt like they were dragging an anchor upward, struggling to match European opponents. The aircraft had weight, size, and power, but not the propeller efficiency needed to use all that power effectively. When the Hydromatic Constant Speed Propeller was introduced, pilots immediately reported dramatic improvements. Suddenly, the aircraft accelerated faster, climbed harder, and maintained engine temperatures more effectively. The R2800 could finally operate in its ideal power band, giving the P-47 the muscle it had always possessed on paper, but had never fully delivered in the air. This improvement had enormous tactical implications. The Thunderbolt was increasingly used for escort missions, bomber protection, ground attack roles, and high-altitude combat. A fighter that previously struggled to gain altitude now climbed with authority, allowing American squadrons to engage German aircraft on more equal terms. And crucially, the Thunderbolt became one of the few fighters that could dive at extreme speeds without risk of overspeeding its engine. The hydromatic propeller allowed pilots to push the P-47 to speeds that stunned Luftwaffe opponents, initiating boom and zoom attacks that were both deadly and difficult to counter. But if the hydromatic system improved the P-47, it utterly transformed the P-51 Mustang. The early Mustangs, equipped with Allison engines and less advanced propellers, were decent low-altitude fighters but mediocre performers above 15,000 feet. And because high-altitude performance was essential for escorting bombers deep into Germany, the Mustang was in danger of being sidelined. Everything changed with three parallel advancements: the installation of the Packard Merlin engine, the refined airframe aerodynamics, and the adoption of the Hamilton Standard Hydromatic propeller. This combination turned the P-51 into a machine of breathtaking efficiency. Pilots immediately noticed the difference. The Mustang accelerated faster, climbed sharper, and held its RPM and manifold pressure in perfect harmony. Suddenly, the P-51 could exploit the full power of the supercharged Merlin engine. It became a fighter capable of escorting bombers all the way from England into the heart of Germany and back. Without the hydromatic propeller, this long-range efficiency and high-altitude performance would have been severely compromised. The engine would have been forced to operate below its optimal RPM for large sections of the mission, wasting fuel, degrading power, and introducing unnecessary mechanical strain. With the hydromatic, the P-51 operated like a finely tuned instrument. It also gained a crucial advantage in combat: responsiveness. The constant speed system allowed Mustang pilots to instantly access power during turns, climbs, and emergency maneuvers. They didn't need to adjust pitch manually or worry about propeller drag overwhelming the engine. The aircraft responded smoothly and predictably, allowing pilots to fully exploit the Mustang's legendary agility. The result was a fighter that not only outranged the enemy, but frequently outclimbed, out-accelerated, and outmaneuvered them as well. Yet the significance of the hydromatic propeller extended beyond raw performance. It also improved reliability. Engines operating at the correct RPM suffer less wear, maintain cooler temperatures, and last longer before needing overhaul. This meant American fighters could fly more sorties, spend more time in the air, and return to combat more quickly. For a military fighting a transatlantic war, this logistical advantage was enormous. It helped sustain the relentless pressure the U.S. applied to the Luftwaffe, a pressure that Germany ultimately proved unable to withstand. Another underappreciated benefit was safety. The hydromatic propeller had feathering capability, meaning the blades could be turned parallel to the airflow in the event of engine failure. This significantly improved glide performance and increased the chances of survival for pilots forced down behind enemy lines or over water. Many pilots attributed their survival to the hydromatic system, a fact that often goes unnoticed in discussions of wartime aviation technology. And even beyond fighters, the hydromatic propeller found its way into American bombers, transports, patrol aircraft, and trainers. Everywhere it went, it delivered the same benefits: better efficiency, smoother operation, and improved performance across all phases of flight. It was one of those rare technologies that scaled effortlessly from small fighters to large multi-engine aircraft, a testament to the elegant engineering at its core. The impact of the hydromatic propeller on the broader course of the air war is difficult to overstate. Aircraft performance determines what strategies are possible, which missions succeed, and how pilots fight and survive. When the United States adopted the hydromatic constant speed system across its frontline fighters, it was effectively unlocking vast reserves of unused performance in its engines and airframes. The technology didn't merely complement American aircraft, it unleashed them. It turned theoretical horsepower into real combat capability, and in doing so, it helped shift air superiority decisively toward the Allies. But why was this propeller so effective? The key lies in how internal combustion aircraft engines generate power. Piston engines have an optimal RPM range. Too slow, and they bog down. Too fast, and they risk catastrophic failure. A fixed-pitch propeller forces the engine to adjust to the propeller's drag, often pushing the engine out of its optimal power band. The hydromatic constant-speed propeller reversed this relationship. It allowed the propeller to adjust automatically, continuously, and precisely to whatever conditions the engine encountered. In a dive, the blades would take a higher pitch to reduce RPM and prevent overspeed. During a climb, the blades would flatten to allow the engine to rev more freely. And in level flight, the system would find the perfect angle to balance thrust, fuel economy, and engine strain. The result was not just speed or climb rate, it was harmony. Engine, propeller, and aircraft all worked as a unified system. Pilots described the sensation as flying a machine that seemed to anticipate their intentions. Instead of managing RPM and pitch in the middle of combat, they could focus entirely on flying and fighting. And that freedom, that extra mental bandwidth, saved lives. To appreciate the extent of the improvement, consider the P-51's long-range escort missions deep into German airspace. Hundreds of Mustangs took off from England with one objective: protect the bombers for the entire round trip. Without the efficiency of the hydromatic propeller, fuel consumption would have skyrocketed, reducing range by significant margins. Fighters would have been forced to turn back early, leaving bombers vulnerable in the most dangerous sectors. With the hydromatic system, however, pilots could maintain optimal RPM throughout the climb, cruise, and high-altitude escort phases, preserving precious fuel while still delivering superior performance. This advantage directly influenced the survival of thousands of bomber crews. It was not just a technical refinement, it was a strategic multiplier. And then there was the psychological effect on the enemy. Luftwaffe pilots were stunned to find American fighters suddenly climbing faster, accelerating harder, and arriving deep over Germany in far greater numbers. The appearance of large formations of P-47s and P-51s operating with newfound efficiency signaled a turning point. German pilots, who once relied on altitude and speed advantages, found themselves increasingly outmatched. The constant speed propeller was not the only reason, but it was a critical one. It enabled American aircraft to use their engines as they were truly designed, turning paper specifications into battlefield reality. The Hamilton Standard Hydromatic propeller also shaped pilot training. New pilots learned to operate their engines using simple controls, primarily throttle and mixture, because the propeller automatically handled the complex pitch adjustments. This streamlined cockpit workload, making training faster and reducing accidental engine damage. A pilot fresh out of flight school could jump into a frontline fighter and operate it safely in a variety of conditions without years of experience micromanaging prop pitch. In a war where training time was limited and pilot demand was massive, this simplification had real consequences. Beyond the war, the hydromatic system influenced post-war aviation as well. Surplus P-51s, P-47s, and other aircraft continued flying in militaries and air forces around the world. Civilian operators used them for racing, transport, crop dusting, and aerial surveying. In every case, the constant speed propeller's efficiency and reliability were key reasons these aircraft remained viable long after their military service ended. Even modern constant speed propellers owe many of their fundamental design principles to the hydromatic system. It established standards in blade actuation, hub design, hydraulic efficiency, and fail-safe behavior that influenced generations of propeller development. Yet for all its sophistication, the hydromatic propeller was also remarkably rugged. It had to withstand immense centrifugal forces as the blades spun at thousands of revolutions per minute. It had to resist vibration, thermal stress, debris impact, and rapid movement between pitch settings. Wartime maintenance crews noted that hydromatic propellers often survived conditions that would have destroyed lesser systems. They could be repaired quickly in the field, swapped between aircraft, and trusted to operate even after grueling missions. The combination of precision and toughness made the hydromatic system particularly well suited for the chaotic, dusty, freezing, and unpredictable environments of wartime airfields. What makes the impact of the hydromatic propeller especially fascinating is that it was not a glamorous technology. Pilots praised engines, airframes, guns, and maneuverability, but the propeller was often overlooked, taken for granted, or seen as a minor component. And yet it was one of the few pieces of equipment that directly touched almost every crucial aspect of flight: takeoff, climb, cruise, maneuver, dive, and landing. It shaped performance, reliability, safety, and combat effectiveness. It was the quiet force behind many of the war's most successful aircraft. If we imagine the P-47 without the hydromatic propeller, we get a very different aircraft. It would still have the R-2800 engine, heavy armament, and rugged construction, but its climb rate would suffer, its acceleration would lag, and its ability to dive at extreme speeds would be compromised. It might not have earned its legendary reputation as the Jug, the unstoppable fighter bomber that punished German ground forces and defended bombers at altitude. It might have remained a good aircraft, just not a great one. And if we imagine the P-51 without it, the differences become even more profound. The Mustang's identity was built around long-range, high-altitude performance and precision handling. Without the hydromatic propeller, that identity collapses. The Merlin engine would be robbed of its ideal operating conditions. The fuel efficiency that allowed Mustangs to escort bombers deep into the Reich would be slashed. The aircraft would struggle in high-altitude combat. Even its famous agility would be diminished. The P-51 might have remained an interesting airframe, but it would not have become the icon it is today. It might not have risen to dominance in the European theater. It might not have changed the air war. But what truly underscores the importance of the hydromatic system is this. When German engineers evaluated captured American fighters, they were consistently impressed by the constant speed propeller technology. They recognized that the propeller gave American engines a consistency and efficiency that made them difficult opponents. German fighters used advanced propellers as well, but the scale, reliability, and integration of the hydromatic system across American aircraft fleets was unmatched. By 1944, the United States was fielding some of the most capable piston-engine fighters ever built, and the hydromatic propeller was a central component of that dominance. It ensured that American engines delivered their full rated power. It translated engineering innovation into battlefield performance, and it did so quietly, consistently, and effectively. It was one of those pieces of wartime technology that rarely made headlines, yet played an indispensable role in achieving air superiority. When historians discuss the technologies that shaped World War II aviation, they often focus on radar, jet engines, superchargers, and advanced airframes. These are all important innovations, but the Hamilton Standard Hydromatic constant-speed propeller deserves equal recognition. It was a triumph of mechanical engineering, simple in concept, complex in execution, and profound in effect. It was the technology that allowed American fighters to grow into their true potential, to rise above their limitations, and to meet the Luftwaffe on equal or superior terms. And in a war where control of the skies often meant control of the battlefield, that contribution mattered deeply. The next time you see a P-47 Thunderbolt powering upward into a near-vertical climb, or a P-51 Mustang streaking low across a field at breathtaking speed, remember that a quiet force is at work at the front of the aircraft, an unsung hero of aviation, the Hamilton Standard Hydromatic constant-speed propeller. It was the device that let American fighters breathe deeply, climb fiercely, and strike decisively. It was one of the tools that helped the Allies win the air war, and it remains one of the great engineering achievements of its era, a reminder that sometimes the smallest components can have the greatest impact.